I had a guy who is now playing for Millersville University men's soccer.
Mhm.
Very good track runner at Cedar Cliff, 49, 52nd, 400. They went to national states, but he missed a Saturday meet at Penn's
Mhm.
for a big time club soccer showcase, and it was in the prime time for college coaches and recruiting. Like he needed to get that exposure.
Yes.
So I couldn't be like, you're out, you're done, no more 4x4 for the rest of the season. I was just like, dude, you need that. Like he wasn't getting the looks that he wanted. So I was like, you got to go to the showcase. I think it's easier for me because I've been in those shoes.
Mhm.
But just prioritizing the athlete over the moment, the win that day or the season, it's just like I have a hard time looking at coaches that are holding that against them and being like, dude, what are you really here for? Are you just
Yeah.
trying to save your job, or are you here to develop these kids?
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
Please believe it or not, I'm still a cream of the crop. I was just until the age of 18 on the charts. Wasn't even dreaming this far. Believe who you are, the sun doesn't even know it's a star.
Welcome back to Early Retirement. Today's episode is really cool for me, personally, because my guest is someone who was part of my very first high school coaching staff at Camp Hill. Coach Brian Osborne, most people know him as Coach Oz, was my JV coach and varsity assistant when I was just starting out. And since then, his journey has taken him to some pretty cool places. Coach Oz has coached high school basketball, high school track and field, and went on to become a college head men's soccer coach, which is the role he serves in currently. And because he's lived in all of these spaces, he's developed a perspective on athlete development that I think is desperately needed right now, especially in an era where kids feel pressure to specialize earlier and earlier. Coach Oz has been a strong advocate for multi-sport high school athletes and the role they play in long-term success, durability, readiness for college athletics, and all of the above. This conversation isn't just for coaches, it's for parents, athletes, and anyone who's trying to navigate the noise and pressure of youth sports today. I'm excited to reconnect, reflect, and dig into what really matters when it comes to developing athletes the right way. Coach Oz, thanks for joining me, man.
What's up, my guy? It's been a
Yo,
while.
listen, I know it has been a while. How's everything going?
It's going, man. It's you just kind of sometimes you have to sit back and just remember like where am I and how far I've come. And you mentioned about the Camp Hill days, man. Like I got to give you all the credit in the world, dude. You started my journey and you gave me a shot when I was a young, naive coach trying to take off, and here I am. So much appreciation to you and everything you've done too.
Awesome. I thank you for saying that. And let's start there. Speaking of the Camp Hill days, what was your coaching mindset then compared to now?
Man, I think just overall, sometimes you have some situations that like don't align with where you're at with your life. And I think you have to appreciate all the blessings, even if the blessings don't surface right away, they might surface down the road. And I think where I'm at now has always been a goal of mine. But I have so much appreciation for my time with you, my time with Trinity basketball, Cedar Cliff soccer, track, Central Penn College soccer, and here I am. So I think if you look at my pie chart of my coaching career, like there's slivers of everything. And I think I've evolved as a coach, evolved as a human being. And I think every job on that resume that I have has got me to this point. So a lot of appreciation. But I think now that I look back on those times, like, man, I've just come a long way, and I don't want to stop, right? I'm always trying to learn and get better and develop.
That's awesome. And you've mentioned you coach basketball, track and field. Now you're head men's soccer coach. How did that even unfold? Like, take us through how that even went.
I mean, I have a love and I have a love for all three of those sports. But I think what catered to my resume and longevity wise was soccer, because I was a collegiate soccer player at the Division I level at Temple University and then Division III at Misericordia. But I mean, you know me, I love hoops and I love track and field. I did that in college as well. So my mentality from about 2012 to 2019 was just like, let's just get better. Let's learn from all sports and let's just combine them and then take off into soccer. I think eventually my goal was to be a collegiate head soccer coach. And yeah, I mean, there's part of like basketball there that kind of leaks over to track and field leaks over to soccer. To me, it's kind of just a whole diagram where the center is my college career, and I have some things I take from high school basketball and track and field, and all three of those sports are great because I did it in college. I mean, I did it in high school. So
Yeah.
soccer, my endurance from soccer leaked over to basketball, and I could run for days in sets and full court press, face to face, guarding full court press. And then that quickness and stamina leaked over to track, where I was a really good 200, 400 runner, and I have a really deep love for multi-sport athletes.
You're talking about your time playing, but even as a coach, like, when did you realize that coaching the sport as opposed to just playing it, how did that change how you viewed development for athletes?
I think it goes physically and mentally. When guys focus purely on the sport that they're in season, you have to micromanage your own career, if that makes sense. Like basketball, you're focused on quickness and lateral movements and vertical explosiveness. And then you can go over to soccer and you can work on your stamina and your cardiovascular capacity and your footwork. So it's interesting because I look at guys that specialize in the sports and then I compare it to multi-sport athletes, and they're both at this level. But I think, and I'll dive more into it as our conversation continues, but I think really the biggest plus side of being a multi-sport athlete is the mental side, I think. But I mean, you see it both sides.
Both my kids are going to play one sport when they go to college, but they played multiple sports. My daughter played the longest. She played everything. She played soccer. She played basketball. She obviously played softball. I remember when both of my kids played basketball and soccer, I saw so many similarities. It was just like you dribble with your hands or you dribble with your feet. But either way, you have to be very skilled, but you also obviously have to have a level of athleticism. And so my question to you is, what did basketball teach you that might have helped you later on in soccer?
I think that the vertical side of the game for soccer was a natural thing for me for basketball, like going to meet the ball at the highest point, being first to the ball in the air. Like, I think my ability to score on headers was directly correlated with my ability in hoops to get up to the rim and get up to the backboard and rebound. So I think that was like the first thing, because I scored about 7 or 8 goals in college purely off of headers because I could jump over everybody. And it wasn't because I did box jumps and squats for soccer. It's because I played so many years of basketball. So I think that side of things, when those seasons would overlap, freshman year soccer, basketball, sophomore year soccer, basketball, junior, you could just tell eventually my piggy bank for my vertical explosiveness was just way higher than all the other soccer players on the field. So you're not going to see immediate impact, but like eventually down the road, you're going to be like, wow, like I think that's directly because I played the other sports.
Yeah. You've been pretty vocal about the value of multi-sport, high school athletes. Why do you believe they're better prepared for college athletics?
I mean, I think it's probably for the reason that most people don't think about. And I'll give you guys a scenario. So everybody thinks that multi-sport athletes, it's for collegiate, it prepares you physically and maybe mentally tough, being able to balance the workload of being a student athlete over the course of 6 to 8 months. What I think is the biggest benefactor of being a multi-sport athlete is role capacities. And my life and my career is a prime example. I was the 7th or 8th man off the bench at Trinity High School.
Okay.
I was not the go-to scorer for hoops. I loved it. I loved my role as a guy who comes in, a defensive specialist. I wasn't taking the sets weren't set up for me to take the shot. I came in and did all the dirty work. So I loved coming off the bench and having an impact. Soccer, I was an all-state forward. I was scoring all the goals and getting all the newspaper articles and getting the college attention. So I think those two roles prepare me way better for college soccer than someone who played one role for 4 years. It's really difficult to go from the top of the totem pole in high school to the bottom.
Yeah.
That's rarely ever do you see a freshman go from the top to the top. I mean, you need to work your way up. You need to be acclimated to the level, the speed of the game. But I think I ran into a lot of my teammates in my class struggled. They said, I scored 40 goals a season. I was all state. I was a player of the year for 4 years. Why am I not playing? I'm like, well, dude, it's a different level, man. Like,
it's
you got to be able to accept your role. And I think, so I always say, like, put yourself in as many roles as you possibly can to prepare yourself for the collegiate level. I also think you throw in track, like it's such an individualized sport. And I think I was in the uncharted waters where I really didn't know how to come out of blocks. I didn't know how to pass off a baton. God, triple jump. That's so confusing to me. So learning a new skill set and being uncomfortable and being out of my comfort zone, that box was checked from track. So I think being the go-to guy in soccer, being the role-playing guy off the bench, the spark, and then the individualized side of track, that just made me an absolute dog in college. Like I came in and I wanted to prove myself, and I wasn't worried about getting playing time. I just handled my role and executed as best as I possibly could. So I think, man, I can't talk more about role capacities and trying to prepare yourself for the collegiate level just by that. And I think that's the biggest takeaway.
That I'm fascinated by that because I only played basketball, but I grew up in New York City and that's all we had. So, but I'm mindful of the next level, like going from high school to college to play athletics, and it is really hard. And that's what I can explain. But as you were talking about all of the other things, the nuances of making that transition, you might not be the man. You might have to do other things. And the fact that multi-sport athletes get challenged in those ways, I think is amazing. And it was something I didn't consider, even though I do value multi-sport athletes. So I thank you for sharing that. I guess my next question is, what are parents and athletes getting wrong when they think early specialization is the only path?
I think they're underestimating the impact of burnout and the unpredictability of it. You don't know when it's going to hit your athlete, but I think specializing is for a very small percentage of the crowd of student athletes. I think very few athletes are able to handle specializing year round. And I think for those that are struggling early in their careers, maybe high school, I think it is really good to come out of your comfort zone, direct your thought process in a whole nother capacity compared to what you're doing. And my ultimate goal was to play college soccer. And I love basketball, but I mean, I'm 5'11", Wayne. Like I did, come on.
I get what you're saying.
But I just knew, and my parents always believed in just trying everything. And then and by the time you're a senior, it should funnel into what you're meant to do. It might not be what you want to do, but what you're meant to do and what you're born to, what the God-given ability that you have. I think specializing, I think it's a small percentage that are able to handle it mentally. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But one of my biggest pet peeves is seeing guys or any athlete just get burned out when they get to college, and they work so hard to get there, and they're doing things year round, and they get there and they're just like, I don't love it anymore. I'm like, man, just one season you take off and focus on something else. And
Difference.
Because if you ask my mom back in high school, if someone's asked my mom, hey, what's Brian's favorite sport? He would always say it's a sport he's in. It's the season he's in.
The season he's in.
Like, he loves soccer. He loves basketball. He loves track.
Yeah.
So I think, man, if any parents come up to me and ask me like, hey, should we do soccer year round? I say absolutely not. Absolutely not. But commit to what you're doing in the season. So if you're in winter, don't play winter indoor soccer. You're committed to basketball. Like that role in basketball is going to help you out in soccer.
Right.
So make sure you're not halfway in on both, but whatever season you're in, you're fully invested. You're not thinking about something else.
I want to take a second because, again, both my kids play multiple sports. My daughter played it up until her freshman year when she played soccer, softball, basketball. And the thing for her that kind of got her to picking was sometimes, because specialization is such the hot thing, when she would go to play the sport and be just as good, if not better, than the kids who were doing it year round, there was like a little bit of tension. And she was like, man, I don't need this. And so I would also say to the people, if they decide that they want to specialize, do not shun the people who want to, maximize their time, because I feel like my daughter would have played more sports longer if that wasn't a thing. Does that make sense?
Dude, it makes complete sense. And unfortunately, we're both coaches. We're former coach.
Yeah.
I do want to side note, like, what a career you had. Incredible. I followed it the whole way. So yeah. But I think unfortunately we're in a society, in a world that, like, club soccer, AAU basketball, some of those coaches are in positions of power and they are very selfish. They want to win and they want people to be on that roster every day, all day, all year round. And unfortunately, you run into some coaches that are like, hey, you got to commit fully or I'm going to treat you different. They
Right.
might not say that like verbally, but
You see the
subconsciously you're
actions.
thinking, yeah, like this kid just showed he had soccer from 4 to 6. He comes to 7 to 8. Some coaches are thinking like this guy comes when he can, but like he obviously because
Yeah.
he loves both. It's just unfortunate that we do have college. I mean, we do have coaches in AAU landscape and club soccer that are just they're selfish and they just want their program to win and they're not really focused on the development of athletes. And I loved in track in the spring. I loved when my track runners had to leave practice and go to club soccer practice. Some of them
Mm-hmm.
played at a high level and
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? Like don't do these last 2 reps of this sprint workout, go to your soccer practice.
Right.
And,
Right.
and I'm okay with that because you are developing. And so yeah, it's tough, man. I think you gotta have coaches that have gone through it to
Mm-hmm.
really understand it. So
Yes.
I appreciate there's some times where I have college soccer guys that are leaving a meeting early to go to track practice. I'm like, that's fine.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
it.
That, I mean, I would imagine that that's pretty awesome. You said as a college coach, let's talk about your perspective. What did multi-sport athletes like? What do they do consistently better?
You know what? And I'll give credit to basketball because I'm a collegiate soccer player. But I think basketball, the next play mentality, it's so obvious when you got a guy who's played hoops before at a high level
Mm-hmm.
that they just have that next play mentality that Coach K obviously talked about throughout his
Mm-hmm.
career. But
Yep.
he always mentions like you gotta the quick transition of possession in basketball forces you to have a goldfish mentality. Like you
Yeah.
got to forget about that play. You got to work on defense. It's so I think I appreciate it a lot when I see a recruit and on his resume says it says varsity basketball because I just know I'm going to get a grinder and a guy who can a really short memory from
Mm-hmm.
play to play. So
Yeah.
that's one of the biggest things at the college level. It's such a quick transition from attack to defending, and you can't sit there and admire your 3-pointer and like do the whole like whatever. Like you gotta
Yeah.
get back on D. Like you
That's
you
right.
can't worry about that kind of stuff. So I think I have a kid right now who's a freshman, going to be sophomore next year, who played a lot of games for me, started a few and scored some goals, but he's varsity basketball, high school, varsity baseball, high school, and he's just a dog. He might make a mistake, but he quickly counter
Yeah.
presses and goes to win the ball and puts everything on defense. So I think basketball, man, I think that is a selling point to me on the recruit resume. One of the guys who plays for Hershey, Jack Zakovich, he's a big time recruit for me, and I just love it that I can go to his games for high school basketball for Hershey, and I can watch him play, and he's an absolute dog. So I think the quick next play mindset's such a huge asset at this level.
Yes, man. And you said you're talking about the resume and things like that. When you're evaluating athletes for the college level, what separated the ones who thrived from the ones who struggled? And you said something about it, about the next play mentality. Is there anything else?
I mean, I think I talked about before just the role capacities of athletes, seeing they have multi-sports on their resume, I think is just one that's a huge green flag for me. But the ones that struggle, when I see on their resume, I see a lot of transactional information. So they're all about the accolades. And this is even in the emails. They're all about the accolades, the stats,
Mm,
how many games they started and some awards that they've gotten over the year. I'm like, that's great and all. That's
mhm,
awesome. But I want
mhm.
to hear from your mouth, what are you going to do for us? Like
Right, right.
culturally. And I think that's because you're coming in, you're not going to get all those accolades. You're not going to get first team as a freshman. So what else are you going to give me? And I'm going to provide for you as well. So like I think when people are preparing for the college level, they need to understand that it's way more transformational than
Hmm.
transactional. It's just you got to get over yourself and dedicate yourself towards something bigger than yourself. And stats aren't going to tell me that ahead of time. I
Yeah,
want to come watch you play and I want to see how invested you are in your teammates in any sport. So like when I go to basketball games, I want to see you like, are you just there or are you like really invested in something that maybe isn't your pride and joy? I always say to players, like I always judge someone on what they can do for people that can't do anything for them in return. So I'm always looking for that. That's a big green flag.
you said so. You've said green flag a couple of times, and so I I want to go opposite.
I knew
What?
you were going to do that.
Yeah, I got to go red flag. Are there any red flags that you notice with athletes who specialize too early?
I think that they don't have the capacity to take a break. I think
Mhm.
that's super, super important at this level.
Stay away from
Yeah,
mentally?
yeah. And
Okay.
I think when people specialize and they're doing fall workouts and they're going into their seasons and then they're going into AAU or club and then they're got a personal trainer over the summer, they really struggle with taking time off and understanding that that's just as important as the reps that you have in the gym when no one's
Right.
watching. I
Yeah.
think because it is such a grind, and it's the college level at any sport at any level. It's just so hard to balance from August to May.
Mhm.
And there's a benefit to that because employers and organizations and hiring managers are going to see like this dude can balance a workload. He can work
Mhm.
well with the team.
Yep.
He can handle adversity. He's got a team first mentality. So I think understanding that you do need to take a break and you do need to rest is really important for the people that specialize.
Mhm.
And doing another sport helps with that too. So like taking your mind off of it. But the other thing, the second one is unrealistic expectations. So they're always and perfectionists. They're
Mhm.
always they want to be perfect all the time. And they don't handle mistakes as well as other people do. They think like I got to get this right all the time, and it's really just that's not the case. Like you're not
Right.
going to get it perfect every time. It's about balancing and handling the mistakes or that transition to all right, well, I just got to get better in the process driven instead of results driven. I think I got a kid now who he's a sophomore, super perfectionist, and because he's done it year round, soccer year round through high school, and this is the sport I love, and I didn't play for me at all. Wasn't at our level, but anytime in drills or training, he would make a mistake and he would be so hard on himself. I'm like, man, dude, no one
Got-
else is as hard on you as you are. Like
Right.
you are way more on yourself than anybody, me. So I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
the perfectionist side of things from a guy who specializes in the sport,
Yeah.
it's man, that's something that I really want to avoid in college because it's not going to be perfect every time. And I think specialization
Mhm.
trains that. Like I got to do it until it's perfect.
Right.
And I
Because that's the
think,
only thing I have. Like, this is all I
yeah,
have.
this is
And
it.
yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, man, no, it's not. It really isn't.
We are. I talk a lot. I mean, just basketball, but people get so laser focused. I'm like, these dudes, like, they're whole human beings. Like, they're not just basketball players. And so it sounds to me that even from a sports perspective, it's the same concept. Like, just locking into one thing does not produce better results. Being able to broaden your horizons sounds like the way to go. And so my next question to you, if a high school coach is listening right now, what would you encourage them to do differently when it comes to athlete development?
Shorten the leash. I think if a kid can be there for practice from 4 to 6,
Mhm.
don't hold it over their heads if they're leaving directly after the handshake or the huddle to go to another sports practice.
Mm.
I think you got to be okay with it. If someone's primary sport is not yours,
Mhm.
you got to be okay with it and you got to
Yeah.
let it go
Yeah.
and focus on the time that you have with them instead of focusing on the time that you don't have with them. There was a girl, Cedar Cliff track, a girl that was a very, very high level soccer player. She's now playing for University of Penn. And I knew track would be her secondary sport. I always
Mhm.
knew it,
Mhm.
and I was
Yeah.
okay with it. And
Yeah.
I'm like, listen, I got to prioritize the development of the athlete over what I want for my program. That's the first and the most important thing from a coach's perspective is just you're there to develop kids. So if I can help out in any way, awesome. If we can work on handoffs when you're available, let's work around that. That's fantastic. But I think just letting go of that side of the selfish coaching side of things and being like,
You got to get
you
win
need to be
meets.
all us right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not the
Yeah.
truth, man. Like
Yeah.
if they're there for practice 4 to 6 and they're dogs and they're focused completely on what else are you expecting from them? So I always prioritize like the athlete's dreams and goals over my aspirations of winning a season or winning a game. I had kids I had a guy who is now playing for Millersville University men's soccer.
Mhm.
Very good track runner at Cedar Cliff, 49, 50-second 400. They went to national states, but he missed a Saturday meet mid Pens
Mhm.
Saturday meet for a big time club soccer showcase, and it was in the prime time for college coaches and recruiting. Like he needed to get that exposure.
Yes.
So I couldn't be like, dude, you're out, you're done, no more 4x4 for the rest of the season. I was just like, dude, you need that. You like he wasn't getting the looks that he wanted. So I was like, you got to go to the showcase. Like if you're
Yes.
gonna and I think it's easier for me because I've been in those shoes, but just prioritizing the athlete over the moment, the win that day or the season. It's just like, I have a hard time looking at coaches that are holding that against them and be like, dude, what are you really here for? Are you just
Yeah.
trying to save your job or are you here to develop these kids? And I think that just goes a long way. Like right now I have a ton of athletes I had at Cedar Cliff track that are all focused on other sports and they're doing great.
I have to jump in because again, this is not even a multi-sport thing. This is just I feel like in college it's different because I think winning is more expected. At the high school level, player, person, whatever you want to call it, development is the most important thing. And if winning is more important than that at the high school level, I think that's crazy. And so I'm saying to you or saying to whoever's listening, it's not even about being able to make sure that multi-sport athletes can take advantage of that great opportunity. But even as a basketball coach, my priority was always the development of the young man and the player that they wanted to become. And if we did that right, the wins will take care of itself. But the goal to just win at all costs or whatever, how some people like that was never a thing. And it should, I don't know that it should be a thing at the high school level. So
I,
I'm concurring with you in a little
no,
bit of a different way.
yeah, and I agree. And I think your early career is a prime example of it. At Camp Hill, it's such a small school, and everybody's a multi-sport athlete
Mm-hmm.
because of the low enrollment size. So you
Mm-hmm.
got guys that are doing a fall, winter, and spring season for
Yep.
4 years.
Yep.
And if you were that coach that said you got to do basketball year round and or you're not going to play for me, I don't believe, and this is coming from a guy who's on the other side of the court from you that year, but I don't believe you had that success with that group if you had those guys specialize in hoops.
All
You
right.
had
Well, we would have no team.
yeah.
Because for sure, and we talked about this before we started recording, is that was my introduction to coaching high school, is that we share. Like all of the coaches, like that is just understood. Because that is the benefit to the kids of being in a place like that is I want to be able to play those sports. And it never occurred to me to be like, yeah, you have to just play basketball because they'd be like, I bet I'm gonna go find something else to do because I'm playing these other sports. I'm gonna play baseball. I'm gonna play football. I'm gonna
Yeah. Championship game, man. You had the district championship. You had a stud quarterback. You had a stud baseball player. You had wide receivers all over and they
Yep.
were dogs. They
Yeah.
were animals, and I think they were the competitiveness of that team
Yes.
didn't just come from Coach Fletcher and basketball. It was
Right. Right.
football, baseball over a course of years, and then it culminates when you want it to culminate at the perfect time, and it's just like a cool thing to watch.
And especially when we inherit the football players, because the football players would always be late to basketball because they were winning. But you know what they did? They brought that winning attitude
Yeah.
to our practices. And that you can't replicate that. When people have an expectation and understanding of what success looks like because they just did it, it just rubs off on everybody else. So, obviously when I went to coaching at a bigger school, it's a little bit, I'm still there, so I don't want to say crazy things, but there's a little less sharing and there's less opportunity for kids to do that. And I wish that it wasn't the case. So I don't know, maybe as this thing comes out and people take a look at what's really important, maybe that will become a thing, even at a big school.
I mean,
But go ahead.
And I experienced it at Cedar Cliff. It's just as big as Central Dauphin. And you had football guys that are coming down to track workouts right after football lifting, and I'm like, I'm not going to get anything out of these kids because they just heavy squatted for an hour.
Right.
So I think letting go of being like, okay, listen, you're in spring, you're focused on this because ultimately it's going to benefit your program. Like, so I think when I tell coaches and I talk to high school coaches, I'm like, just let go of that leash a little. Because eventually that athlete's going to stay by your side when you want to win the most. So I think, that was a fantastic analogy, but I just think I can't speak more about letting athletes focus on their prime sports, but also if that's not yours,
Hmm.
then
Hmm.
dude, be cool. Like,
Just let it, yeah, be easy. This episode is being brought to you by My Jersey Designs. If you're looking for digital replica jerseys, go to myjerseydesigns.com and they'll take care of you. With we've been talking about the athlete and we've been talking about the coaches. Parents, what should parents stop worrying about at this point?
man, I think, well, one, I think this, we talked about the specialization. I think
Mhm,
you don't need to go to every showcase and every ID clinic. Coaches will find you. I
mhm,
mean, yes, initial contact is really important, but I think if you're that good, you're gonna surface and coaches are gonna find you. Like, I think that's really important. But I think when I talk to parents and I deal with a lot of them with the club scene right now, and they
mhm.
ask me like, what are colleges looking for? I think we talked about it. I think a competitive nature, and then understanding your role as best as you possibly can, whatever you're in that. And
Whatever
I
it is.
think I think that helps resumes, but also I think it helps parents uh take some pressure off some parents sometimes when parents are so hyper focused on the transactional side of things. I think that's the unfortunate world that we live in right now is you got parents coaching from the sideline and they're telling the kids to shoot, but the kid's an awful shooter. Like, it's just tough. Dribble, like the guy can't dribble. Like, it's just one of those things that like every parent is focused on the transactional side of the sport.
Right.
Just focus on them developing and
Yes.
growing as an athlete, as a human being. I
Mhm.
think you see parents all the time complain about fouls or calls, but can you imagine if refs or coaches came into their office, into their cubicle, and yelled at them for about 48 minutes? Not
Right.
easy. So
Right.
I just think value support over guiding your athlete, like from a perspective that you don't really understand. I think you see all the time the biggest issues you have with parents and athletes
Mhm.
and high school, college coaches are the ones that haven't been in those shoes before. I think the fact that you guys have played college athletics has really helped your kids out, to be honest. And I think you sit back and you're there for support when you're not at the helm, and let them develop on their own and make decisions on their own, fail on their own. So we just had a college info night the other day, and I'm telling the club soccer crew, it's girls and boys, I'm saying, and parents are asking, what can we do?
Mhm.
I said, absolutely nothing.
Yeah, chill out. Fall
Don't
back.
do anything.
Mhm.
Hey, it's really fun to watch you play. You had a great game. You like, did you have fun? Like, those are
Yeah.
things, don't get in the way of your kids' successes, but also don't get in the way of your kids' failures too. So just as important.
Yeah, man. The idea of trying to shield them from all things bad doesn't make for a great, well-rounded person. And I will say later on in my life or of some point, my wife and I will share our experiences because one thing is for sure, we were able to, as hard as it is, as a parent to watch our kids fail at times, they had to do it. And we did not protect them from it as much as we wanted to because we want them to feel better, but they're better off from that whole thing. And that's what we did growing up too. So I don't want to get on one of those soapboxes, but I agree with you. And I think about, or at least I'm thinking about the earlier part of the conversation where you were talking about the kids or the players, they work so hard and then they burn out right when they get to college. What are signs, if a kid's in high school and a high school coach or a parent or even the kid himself, like what are signs that a kid might need a break or a second sport?
I think when they handle adversity, they're quick to handle it in the wrong way. I think they're short fuse, if you will. Like, if someone has a bad practice and they storm off instead of like sitting there and digesting it and kind of maybe even debriefing with the coach or another player, I think a short fuse mentality, I think, is a quick early sign of burnout. They're
Okay.
just, they deal with the frustration too quickly and their emotions are too bought in. Their
Yeah.
emotions are too involved with
How they
digesting.
responded. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
responding. And I think
Yeah.
that's like a big flag. I just also think I look at body language, man. Like, I think when you see dudes show up to a training session and their shoulders are shrugged and they're kind of really lethargic, getting their shoes on and
Yeah.
getting into warm-ups, and then they're leaving as soon as practice is over. They're just like grabbing their stuff and out of there.
Mhm.
It looks from a perspective, outside perspective, it just looks like you're there because you have to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think I have some current guys that I have to have conversations with. I'm like, is this really what you want right now?
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
what you have to do. Like, and that's okay. You're not hurting my feelings if you say, Coach, I'm exhausted, man. Like I just can't do it.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because that's coming to surface with me. And I think it was over a long period of time, things stacking up. And then
Yeah.
when you're in college and you're going through a rough time, handling your new role, you're not playing, you don't know why you're not playing. Coach doesn't talk to me, or I have no friends on the team.
Mhm.
I think it amounts, it builds up over a long period of time. So I think it's just unfortunate. College coaches have to deal with it sometimes. Some high
Yeah.
school kids, some high school coaches do too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I hate when guys are like, I fell out of love with the game. I'm like, dude, I just had you for a month. How?
Yeah. You know what? And I got to jump in for a different reason, but the love thing, right? This whatever the sport is. First of all, let me back it up when you say about having fun. Me and my wife always when our kids are going out to compete, we're always like have fun. Because it's a sport and it's supposed to be fun. No matter what. I want to get this offer. I want to get that's totally cool. But like if you're not having fun doing the thing that you're supposed to have fun doing, you're not going to get those other things. So that's the first part. And when you talk about the kid being lethargic or like looking like they need to be there, again, like that's one of those, I guess I would agree in understanding that that will be a sign for them to think about other things. Because when you're in high school, you're usually the person. You're the guy, you're the girl. In your sleep, you're probably better than most of the people in your team. And then when you get to college, everybody is just as good as you. And if you can't pull from the kid in you of the fun of the thing, then I feel like this stuff starts to happen. And I know when I went to college, at first, actually, it wasn't that bad. But as I started to realize that my athleticism was not going to get me over every time, I'm like, man, so I had to reinvent myself. But fortunately, obviously, I'm still like basketball. I've always loved it. And so I just had to find a new way to love it, and I'm glad I did. And I hope that as we talk about the multi-sport athlete and everybody else that involved in this process, that doesn't get lost. Like stay passionate, and nobody should be able to take that from you. I think that was the thing I wanted to say. Falling out of love or like the coach because I'm not playing, like the coach made me not love the sport. That should never happen.
No, I completely agree. And I think sometimes when you balance a large roster or a lot of guys that are at the same level, it's
Mhm.
really difficult for you to spread out your attention into everybody and making sure
Mhm.
you're investing in everybody. But you mentioned it. You said the word joy, and I think that should be capitalized, bolded, and underlined. There's joy in working to get a new role that you want. There's joy in supporting your teammates when you're on the bench. Like if you can see, I think it's so unfortunate, and this is gonna make me sound so old, but this generation is focused. There's a big glass half empty mentality.
Yeah.
It's like, what don't I have right now? Like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they're more focused on that instead of, dude, I'm on a college athletic programs roster. I am playing one of the highest levels I can, and I'm
Yeah.
doing it with guys that I love. They're my brothers. What's more important than that? And luckily, in my role, I'm able to find those before they get here and make
Yeah.
sure that that stands out when I watch them play prior. I see them have that joy. Like one of my favorite things to do, and it maybe is diabolical, but I love going to high school games and not dressing in Marywood
Huh.
gear. Maybe like even a mustache and
Just
glasses.
be there.
Yeah, and I just want like no one to know I'm there, and I don't tell the
Yeah.
kid. And I want to see how they treat their coach that probably isn't as good as their club coach,
Hmm. Hmm.
or
Hmm.
they treat their teammates that, like you said, they can probably in their sleep play better than they can.
Yeah.
If I see joy in those times, in
You know
those
you got to
moments,
keep her.
then
Yeah.
yeah, you got one for
Yeah.
sure. And I think I've told a lot of high school athletes, man, that puts you on
Hmm.
college coaches list. It also can cross you off.
Can take you off.
So I think true, genuine joy is so important to have throughout your career in high school, but also, man, in college, you gotta love it. You gotta love the grind. It's
Yeah.
addicting. It really is.
Yeah.
I loved when this past season we started out. I think we were 2-6-1. I loved it. I was like, dude, like feed me more of adversity. I can't have.
Adversity. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, I
Yep.
loved it. Like we got to get back to the drawing board. We got to work harder. We got to focus on areas that we didn't think we need to work on. And then we end up 9-9 and 5-2 in the conference, second seed in playoffs. And the
Okay.
guys are like, dude, this whole season was so much fun. I'm like, yeah,
That's awesome.
it's supposed
That's
to be
awesome.
fun, guys.
Yeah. I
So
mean, yeah,
enjoy it.
all the time, actually. Who would have thought? I was on the phone with a college basketball coach yesterday, and he said the same. He said he was recruiting a kid, and same thing. Like, he snuck into the gym, didn't have his stuff on because he wanted to see. Like, somehow the kid was a sleeper, and he couldn't understand why he was a sleeper. So he went to check him out without them knowing, and he realized what it was like. There was some flags that he was able to see because of the fact that he wasn't putting on the show for the college coach. He was just doing what he does. And he's like, yeah, man, I'm glad I did that. So it's not diabolical at all. I think it's a good idea, to make sure you don't inherit a problem later,
First come out when
Yeah,
that
when you
stuff
don't
happens.
know, who's watching. And that's where true character reveals itself. So for a high school athlete, if they're listening to this, what would you want them to hear? I think we've shared a lot, but is there anything else that you would want them to hear?
I think we talked about how some kids are just so focused on the transactional side of things.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest message to high school athletes right now, especially when they're younger, around like the 8th, 9th, 10th grade, pour more of your effort into being a good person, because that's going to get you on a roster. It's also going to keep you on a roster. So people are so focused on getting to practice and then leaving and performing in the practice, but you don't understand how important it is to help a coach clean up their equipment after the training session. And then you want me to give you a reference for your college application. And I'm like, dude, like, this guy stayed afterwards. He helped me. He was the first one there. He helped me set up. He was like, so I think what this world we're missing is, again, the transactional side of sports. If we're just more focused on transforming each athlete into being a better human being,
Mm-hmm.
selfless, caring, showing empathy, forgiveness, patience, those attributes get you on a college roster, and they keep you on there. And then also eventually it gives you that experience that you want. You want a good college career. And how many guys are going pro? I mean, less than 1%. So it's
Yeah.
like, you're getting there, you get the most out of it. So I think we talked about the genuine joy, and when you can see people in their true colors, that's what we're focused on. So if we're focused on that, you might as well invest in it.
So as we wind this thing down, I like to, throw some quick hitters out there, and you respond to them however you want. But, just to keep it light. So you ready for this one? Favorite sport to coach and why?
That's a trap question.
I know, that's why I'm asking it first.
I'm gonna go with Mary Beth Osborne's answer. It's the sport. It's the season that I'm in, and currently I'm always in a soccer season.
All right.
But
Okay.
I'll say this: I miss hoops. Like, I just miss the style of the game, like the next play, the sets too, the out of bounds, the underneath, like all those, the chess matches that you get in with other coaches throughout the
Yes.
game.
Yes.
I love watching. I'm a site manager for the basketball game, home basketball game. So I'm sitting there, I'm just like, man, I'm salivating at the mouth.
Watching games. Man, that's
So I
super
have
cool,
to say
man.
soccer.
Yeah, of course. No. That's but I had to ask you. You are a 3-sport guy, so
Yeah.
I had to ask it.
It's good.
What's a myth about recruiting that you wish would go away?
I think the biggest myth is giving everything in one spout and getting all the information in one moment. An example of this would be, I get an email of 3 paragraphs of why this guy wants to play. This is his major. He's complimenting my program. He probably has never even seen a game. And it's all these things that he's throwing at me at once.
Mm.
And vice versa. Like, coaches, you don't want to throw all your cards at them like in the first hand. You don't want to
Right.
you don't want to go all in on your first chip. I think valuing the process and being patient with the process. So
Yes.
like, I want to, as a freshman and sophomore that emailed me, I just want to know where you're going to be and what showcase you're going to be at. And I want to watch
Right.
you play. That's
Yeah.
the first box. And then we can really, after that, sophomore year, junior year, we can dive into, get a little bit more depth in the conversation. Like, why do you want to play the next level? What makes Marywood the spot for you? And what's your end goal? What's your career job? And what's your end result? And stuff like that. I think just being patient people think they need to just throw information,
Yeah.
and I think letting the process be organic
Yeah.
over however long you're in it for. So some guys sophomore year, like I got an email from a sophomore 2 days ago.
Hmm.
He's a 2028 kid,
Hmm.
4 paragraphs of just everything, and he's getting some of our stats wrong and like our conferences wrong. I'm like, listen, man, like just give
Scale
me,
it back. Scale
yeah.
it back.
Come on,
Let's.
it's like a first date thing. You're not going to go in and ask the girl to marry you right out of the gates.
Yeah. Take a minute. Take a
Few
minute.
dates,
Yeah.
meet the family, then go on vacation together. Like it's just so. I think the biggest myth for I say to parents and athletes is like, don't just throw everything at once.
Yeah.
It's don't flood coaches with information. Coaches are gonna they have a calendar, they have a timeline,
Hmm.
and they stick to it. So make sure that you're aligning with your prospective coach's timeline as well. So
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, don't rush the process. Let it slow roll, and that makes a lot of sense. What's one trait all successful college athletes share?
it's a good one.
Mhm.
I would say resiliency,
Hmm.
and I think adaptability. I would say those are 1A and 1B. So being resilient, and I think that just summarizes everything we've talked about, handling
Yep.
your new role and being the top the totem pole to the bottom. Adaptability, and I think that's just as important too. Like you got to adapt. You might be a 2 or 3 guard in high school.
Hmm.
Guess what? You're going to be in college. You're probably going to be a point. Like
Yeah.
you never like you might be a center. You're a 5 in high school. You're probably going to be a 3 or 4. So being able to adapt and understanding that like everything's not going to work out the way you planned.
Hmm.
It's just you got to handle those little bumps or the swerves in your journey just as well as a straight line. So
Yeah.
resiliency, being tough enough, handling the imposter syndrome. Sometimes some people are like, "Am I even good enough to play here? Why am I?" I think resiliency and adaptability are the 2 things that I always try to remind our guys. Like let's get better at doing that. So
Yeah.
an example, I have my guys this summer, they all have to do something they're not comfortable with doing. So I got a kid he's taking Toastmaster classes. So he's terrible at public speaking. He's going to learn how to public speak. I got a
Okay.
kid who has terrible endurance. He's going to run half marathon this summer. So it's like, let's enjoy doing the hard things.
Man, that's great stuff. I'm gonna leave you with this one. What's the best lesson coaching multiple sports taught you?
Um, I think I've learned patience over the course of 10 years, 11 years. Patience with athletes development, but also understanding, I think, the generation. I played in a millennial generation where it's like drill sergeant, very militant. You're doing it this way or you're running forever. If you can't do it, I'll get someone else to do it.
Yes.
And I think starting my career with you in 2012,
Yeah.
and you see the evolution of the athlete over the decade, it's kind of crazy. And adaptability for the coach's side of things is just as important. I think, and Coach Kostelak at Trinity taught me that. Like, I mean, he's still coaching and he's still winning and he's got to learn to adapt.
Amazing, that guy.
Yeah, it's wild. So, I mean, I think I have appreciation for that. Like just understanding that you have to have patience and you have to develop and you have to cater to your audience instead of the audience catering to yourself. Asking questions more. Like I do more collaboration than most college coaches. I say, guys, how do you want to play? My style of play is your style of play. So
Right.
I want you guys to be as comfortable as possible. I'm not going to force you guys to play a certain way. And I want you guys to enjoy and not be frustrated. And I think that's what is going to get us results.
Yeah.
Coaching all the sports, the individualization and track and the basketball next play and soccer, my career playing and coaching. I think it's just all culminated to just having a high level of adaptability and patience.
That is amazing. Before we rapidly wrap, you brought Coach Kostelak's name up. I very much have respected just how he has gone about his business. Well, when you talk about adaptability, I don't even know how he still does it because I've done 10 years of high school basketball over the course of 14 because I took some time off. But there's some stuff that I'm like, man, like I don't want to deal with this anymore. And he has done it at a high level over decades. I'm like, man, that dude deserves every medal and trophy that he's earned, because just doing it for a short amount of time, I don't know that I could have done it. So kudos to him. Shout out to him.
Game the other month, and I'm like, this is, I remember defense, motion, continuous sets, like all these. We work the ball around, we get the best possible shot. I went to the game, it's no defense, threes every time.
Kids, man.
There's
Listen,
buckets on buckets. I'm like, man, the game has wildly evolved, and
it has
that
changed.
guy is still on the bench.
He's figured out how to do it. So kudos and shout out to him. And maybe one day I'll have a chance to get him on here. But this is all about wrapping up this thing. Coach Oz, I thank you so much for the perspective that you've shared, not only for the audience, but even for me, because there are some things that I hadn't even considered, but I very much appreciate the idea of resilience and adaptability for young student athletes. And hopefully when this is all said and done, there'll be more conversations being had with other coaches so that they can allow kids to maximize their opportunities in high school and be multi-sport athletes when they want to be. So if you've gotten this far, please hit the like button so that we know that you appreciated this episode. Also, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and to the platform that you are receiving this podcast. We very much appreciate it. So thank you very much. If there's anything you want to share before we go ahead.
No, hey, dude, I love what you're doing, and I always appreciate coaches that pour back in and want to invest in just sharing their knowledge. And I love getting on here and shooting it up with you, man. It's been a while, but
Great,
yeah,
man. This is great.
keep it up.
So thank you very much. And everyone out there, please spread the word and let your people know, whether it's a coach, a player, or just somebody trying to navigate this world. Let them know that they have an opportunity to watch this and learn some things. So thank you very much, and we will see you soon.